it's time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink. And listen. I was stalked and kidnapped by a serial killer. He showed me that there's something even scarier that's watching all of us. My corpse child. What I'm about to say here is hard for me for a couple of reasons. First, obviously, because of how traumatic it was, but secondly, because of how bizarre it was too. I saw things I'm still not sure, or you or anyone for that matter, can really explain. It started, for me anyways, with the eyes. The large red eyes with a pair of wings coming out of them, this time painted on the bricks of the next-door apartment complex in the alleyway. I'd seen this before on the news. Another body. Who was it this time? Another woman? A child? The eyes saw them first. They saw nothing, they never do. I still remember that night too, almost shot for shot. I'd gotten home from working late at the convenience store, having had to stay for another 3 hours after closing just to put the frickin' place back together after being so badly trashed. It was 3 a.m. when I finally got to leave, and I was tired. Nothing human up at that hour. Got home about 15 minutes later and shambled, exhausted, out of my car and into my apartment. I remember how cold it was, though I was too tired to notice, as well as how quiet it was. Dead silent. Upon entering my apartment, I locked the door, all 7 deadbolts, something I found to be necessary a year before when I had 2 break-ins over the course of a month, and just launched myself onto the couch. Didn't even bother trying to get out of my sweaty-ass clothes, or even making it to bed. At least I have tomorrow off, was the last thing to cross my mind before blacking out cold as soon as my head touched the couch cushion. I didn't hear anything. I was awakened maybe 10, 15, could have been 15, minutes later to the sound of sirens from outside. Red and blue lights flashed rapidly from the window. I bolted up on the couch, still groggy. And what is that? Police? What's going on? What happened? I stumbled over to the window. From my window on the 4th floor, I couldn't see much with the lights flashing in my still half-asleep eyes. I do, however, remember seeing the pair of large red eyes graffitied on the wall, staring forward. You can't see them, but they see you. Oh, God, I thought, chills starting their course up my spine. It was him again, Azazel, or Charlotte's fallen angel killer, as the media had nicknamed him. This had been his trademark for almost 3 months. Find someone walking by in the dead of night, snatch them into the alley, kill them quickly and quietly, causing no one to hear anything, and marking the wall in their blood before basically vanishing into thin air. God, how long ago this happened? I wondered. I couldn't hear him. What if he's still nearby? No one ever hears him. No one sees him. Well, it goes without saying that this snapped me wide awake and kept me that way until the sun came up. I grabbed the 9mm my late husband got me 2 years before he died, and I poised myself on the couch, ready to blast anyone that might try to come in. I took every ounce of self-control I had to keep from unloading the magazine when I heard the knock at the door about 2 or so hours in. Mrs. Hoffman? The man's voice called from the other side of the door. It's the police. For a moment I stayed stiff on the couch, locked in a frightened entropy, the barrel of the gun trained at the door. My hand shook. Oh, it's just the police. Another set of knocks came from the other side. Mrs. Hoffman? I slowly began to get up from the couch and crept to the door. I unlocked 6 of the deadbolts, leaving the top one latched, before cracking the door open. Outside were 2 officers. Mrs. Hoffman? The one on the left asked. I cleared my throat. Yes? We're from the Mecklenburg County Police Department. I'm Officer Wade, and this is my partner, Officer Vega. If you wouldn't mind, we'd like to ask you a few questions. May we come in? I unlatched the last bolt and opened the door fully. Yeah, come in. They came in. I went into the kitchen and started brewing a pot of coffee. Would either of you like some coffee? No, thank you, ma'am, Officer Wade replied. We'll try to keep this brief. We just want to know if you might have seen anything out of the ordinary. I replied that I hadn't. Anything at all. Maybe someone you hadn't seen in the neighborhood before. Someone shady. No, I replied. At least not any more than usual. What do you mean? Officer Vega asked. I answered with a tired scoff. I mean, you've seen this neighborhood, right? Not exactly squeaky clean. He looked to his partner, who nodded at him, and then back to me. I didn't see anybody in the alley, if that's what you're asking. And you didn't hear anything? Officer Wade asked. No, not until I heard the sirens just a couple of hours ago. He nodded at this, and I turned to continue making coffee. Officer Wade handed me his card and told me to call if I saw anything before he and Officer Vega began for the door. Oh, wait. They stopped, grabbing the doorknob. How long ago? What? The alley. How long ago did it happen? Officer Wade nodded for his partner to go towards the door. He left, and it was me and Officer Wade. About 3:30 this morning, ma'am. Can't be certain, but I was told that by the best estimate. My blood chilled. My heart dropped from my chest like a rock. 3:30? I was asleep. I asked if they knew who the victim was then. He replied they didn't yet, though, of course, I kind of doubt he would have shared that with me if he did know. He was about to turn and leave again when I asked him one last question, one that deep down I knew he wouldn't answer. Is it him? The fallen angel? Oh, we're not sure yet, Mom, was all he said before turning and leaving. I was alone again. For a moment, I just stood there trying, and kind of failing, to take in and process what I'd just heard. My mind was a chaotic hornet's nest. An innocent person just got murdered right next to me, and I'd slept through it. Aside from the palpable sense of guilt that it brought me, it also filled me with panic. It brought a far more haunting suggestion to mind. Would I have noticed anything if I was awake? Was it possible to catch a ghost? He said the time of death was 3:30 a.m. That was only about 15 minutes after I got home. I didn't see anything or anybody. You can't see them, but they see you. Oh, how long had he been in the... Ding! My thoughts abruptly ended when I heard the pot signal that the coffee was done. My hands were shaking as I lifted the pot and began pouring. I ended up only filling the mug about halfway before losing the rest of it to the drain. I, still trembling, raised the mug to my lips and started sipping it, swallowing hard. Would I have seen or heard him if I'd been awake? This thought spun around in my head as the sun rose. By then, of course, the commotion in the alleyway had long died out. It was empty again, quiet. I was exhausted, of course, which made me really slow to get moving again. I didn't have to work, sure, but I couldn't just sit around in the house all day either. For one thing, I'm not one to stay cooped up all day. I'll sleep in occasionally, sure, but I had to get out of the house sometime. The other thing, though, was that I had a date planned to go see the Batman with Paul at 1 that afternoon, having lunch together afterwards back at my place. Well, if nothing else, it'll give me something to think about, right? I looked at the clock after getting dressed. 11:30. I still had just enough time to do a quick grocery run to grab stuff for lunch. Well, granted, it meant foregoing the shower I kind of really needed. Oh well. I threw on a blue tank top and the first pair of jeans I could find that I was at least mostly sure were clean before heading out. When I walked down to the parking lot to my car, I couldn't help but glance back over to the alley. The eyes were still there, faded a bit, but still thick and red, still watching me. I didn't see anything last night. Nothing was wrong, yet I felt like something was going to be soon. For a moment, I flashed back to last night. I thought of how quiet it was. Nothing was happening. I couldn't see anything. I imagined the victim, their face as they were being attacked, their frightened eyes. They didn't see him coming. there's nothing wrong, Angie. Come on, get a grip. He couldn't have gotten far. Might still be near, in the area. I closed my eyes at this and shook my head. He could be anywhere. Ghosts can come from anywhere. God, there's no one here. He's gone now. I won't see him coming. Everything's just fine. I took a deep breath and got in the car. It took a minute, but I finally, with the help of a radio comedy show, don't ask me who it was, it actually made me laugh, so who gives a rat's ass, I managed to calm my nerves again. Despite this, I did still find myself constantly darting my eyes around as I drove along. This continued when I got to the parking lot at Publix, constantly looking over my shoulder. Well, this too finally died down when I got inside. I started getting items to make lasagna for lunch. I'd gotten just about everything: pasta, mozzarella, tomato sauce, and even garlic knots. Those were always better than Texas toast, and I was in line to check out when it hit me that I was forgetting something. Oh, beef. I'm forgetting the ground beef. I quickly swung my cart around and started to run back to the deli. I looked at the time. 12:15. Jeez, gotta hurry. In my little frenzy, I lost track of my surroundings and ended up running straight into a man coming towards me out of the frozen meat section, knocking him to the ground. Oh, God, sir, are you okay? I exclaimed, rushing over to help him up. He didn't respond. I took his hand and helped him to his feet. I'm so sorry about that. I chuckled awkwardly and said, I got so caught up I didn't see you there. This time he turned his head to me and parted the right corner of his mouth, chuckling dryly. I couldn't really see much of his face. It was mostly covered by the hoodie he was wearing. He also appeared to be wearing shades. Maybe he's blind. Maybe he didn't see me either. Oh, no one usually does. But they do, he said in a voice that sounded like it was coming from a yogi. It was smooth yet soft. It didn't really seem to match the broad-shouldered 5'7" man in front of me, who looked to be at least in his mid-40s. People don't see me, but they see them. He pointed upwards to the ceiling. What, excuse me? I asked, confused. What did you say? He just smiled before turning and walking off. I stood, confused for a moment. What was his deal? I wondered. People don't see him, but they see them? What the hell was that supposed to mean? Who are they? The eyes see them first. They see nothing. I probably would have spent at least another hour or two digging around the rabbit hole with this if I hadn't glimpsed my watch out of the corner of my eye, now reading 12:45. Oh shit, I gotta get moving. With that, I zipped in, grabbed the beef, and raced back to the checkout. I was heading back to my car when I looked back again and saw the guy I'd knocked over standing in the parking lot about 2 lots away from me, staring at me. I couldn't see his face, with his hood still covering it, despite it, being 90 freaking degrees out. Still, I could tell he was staring dead at me. What the hell? Is he looking at me? Why? What does he want? For a moment, we just stood there, locked in a staring contest, neither of us knowing who should break first. Finally, a car passed between us, and when it went past, he was gone. Vanished. In thin air. Like a ghost. Like a shadow, like he was never there. What the hell? Where'd he go? Started throwing my head in every direction. He was just there, wasn't he? Where is he? I didn't see him. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. It's nothing, Angie. Just get in the car. I took one last look around, one last sweep of the area. Well, whoever that was, he's gone now. Ghosts can walk through walls. They come from everywhere. Just get in the car, Angie. I can't see him. No one can. Get in the car. I can't see him coming. I opened the door and was about to get in the car when I heard it. was turning to the left where it was coming from. Huh? What the? I was silenced when I felt a firm hand cover my mouth. In the hand was a white cloth, being forced against my face. I started struggling, clawing behind me at the attacker's face. When I couldn't seem to reach that, I began trying to ram my elbows into his stomach and kick him in his crotch. Neither of these were doing me any good. "Look, you have to come with me," I heard him say. It was the same smooth, almost warm, soothing voice I'd heard in the store. "They see you. I have to take you with me now." I started feeling woozy. My arms and legs started feeling weak. Everything was going blurry. Darkness was creeping into my vision quickly, and in a panic I managed to wrestle my chin up enough to open my mouth and bite down hard. Sure enough, this caused the hand to retract and I was free again. I gasped desperately for air. I was still dizzy. I tried to look up to see who it was. Nothing. No one was there. It was just me in an otherwise empty parking lot. What the fuck? I swung around in every direction. Nothing. Just cars. He was gone. Who the hell was that? Where'd they go? I frantically threw myself into my car and locked all the doors before rifling through my purse for my phone to call the police. I couldn't find it. I turned out my pockets. It wasn't there either. God, where's my phone? I opened the door again and started looking on the ground for it, thinking it might have slipped out during the struggle. Nope, it wasn't there. I started trying to look through my purse again, only to find that my phone wasn't the only thing missing. My keys were gone too. Oh God, he must have taken them. I then got out and ran back to the store. Fortunately, I wasn't parked far from the entrance, meaning I wouldn't have far to run. Less of a chance of being ambushed again, as long as I kept moving. After running in, I found the nearest cashier and asked, breathless, if I could borrow the store phone to call the police. I told him I'd just been attacked in the parking lot, and my phone and keys had been stolen. He led me to the back room where the phone was, and I pulled out the card Officer Wade had given me and dialed the number. Part 2. Mecklenburg County Police, what is the nature of your emergency? I was just attacked in the parking lot. Okay, ma'am. Can you tell me your name and location? My name is Angela Upham. I'm at the Publix just off of Spada Street. Okay, and you said you were assaulted in the parking lot? Yeah, he grabbed me from behind and tried to put me to sleep. I managed to get free, and when I looked again, he was gone. You said he attempted to incapacitate you? Yeah, he had a cloth that he held up to my face. I felt dizzy. I still do. I think he might have drugged me. Okay now, Miss Upham. Can you describe your attacker? No, I didn't get a good look at him. Like I said, he got me from behind. I could only see his hand. Nothing at all? Tattoos, scars, anything? No. I then thought about the struggle again. I saw his hand. I'd bitten his hand. I'd bit him. There'd be a mark. It wasn't much of a lead, but still, it was something. There's a bite mark on his hand. How do you see a ghost? Force it into the light. Oh yeah, his hand, right hand has a bite mark on it. He was white and thin, from what I could tell with how bony his hand was. Okay now, Angela, I want you to stay where you are. A unit is being dispatched to your location now, ETA 5 minutes. Do not, under any circumstances, leave the store until authorities arrive. I agreed, and the call was disconnected. After that, I just sat there, my thoughts crumbling and forming an avalanche. Who was that? Where did he come from? No one sees him. Only they see us. What did he want? If it was a robbery, then why was only my phone and keys missing? Where the fuck is he now? I wasn't able to see him. I think that was the question that got under my skin the most. If I didn't see him, I didn't see where he went, then He could be anywhere. He could be anybody. I stayed in the room until I was called out by the arriving police. Outside, at the front of the store, were Officers Wade and Vega. "Angela Upham?" Officer Wade asked. "Yes," I replied. "You okay, ma'am?" I nodded my head weakly. "So, what happened?" I was heading out to my car when, out of nowhere, some guy comes up from behind me and puts a cloth over my mouth. "Can you show me where it happened?" I led him to the doors and pointed to my car. He sent Officer Vega to go look at it. "You said you got away by biting him." "Yeah, he let go when I did that. When I looked up, there was no one there. I looked everywhere. He was gone." "Was he there?" I was about to drive off when I realized I didn't have my keys or my phone anymore. You know of anyone who'd want to intentionally hurt you?" I shook my head. At that time, Officer Vega came back in and said there was no sign of anyone there or having been there. Officer Wade turned back to me and asked, "You said you didn't see where he went?" "No," I exclaimed, anxious. "Like I told you, one minute he had me, I bit him, he let go, and then he vanished." The two exchanged glances at each other before stepping outside. I watched them walk to the car, looking like they were examining the area again. They came back about 5 minutes later. "All right, Miss Upham," Officer Wade said. "Looks like everything's all clear. There's no one out there now. I'm going to have Officer Vega here give you a ride home while we continue searching the area here." Officer Vega led me out to the car. Even with his company, I still couldn't help but glance around cautiously in the parking lot. It was when I caught sight of my car that my eyes bugged out. There, scratched into the driver's side door, were the eyes. I froze. They stared back at me, staring into me, through me even. I imagined that somehow he, my attacker, no, the fallen angel killer, was staring back at me through those eyes. "Ma'am, is everything all right?" Officer Vega asked, having now taken notice of my terrified state. Still shaken beyond being able to form a coherent thought, I pointed to my car. He looked over and immediately became as surprised as I was. "What the hell?" "That wasn't there a minute ago, was it?" I asked, hoping deep down that he'd answer yes, it was. But it had been there when he was out looking for the assailant. How could he have done this without him seeing it before? He shook his head. "Here," he said, urging me forward while still looking alarmed at my car. "Let's go to the car." He led me the rest of the way and I got inside. He told me to wait a moment inside while he radioed his partner about the car. I just nodded blankly. My head was spinning so much, so fast, I'm honestly a little surprised it didn't spin right off my neck and take off like a helicopter. How was any of this happening? Why was any of this happening? How in the hell was someone, a normal man, well, I use normal only in a lightly general sense here, able to do shit like this? How in the span of maybe a minute, if that, was able to deface my car like that and not be noticed? He's not a man. I could see a man. I couldn't see him. Moreover, how was he able to attack me like that and disappear? I can't see him. I thought back to before the attack, seeing the man in the hoodie standing there watching me. What was he staring at? How the hell was he gone so quick? What did he want with me? He's not a man. He's something else. What was he going to do to me if I hadn't gotten away? People don't see me, but they see them. Ghosts can come from anywhere. What the hell does he mean? I faintly heard the sound of the car door slamming shut. I finally broke from my spiraling fit when I heard the engine turn over. Anywhere. They could be anywhere. My heart started racing again when the car peeled out of the parking spot and took off at breakneck speed. Whoa, slow down. What the hell are you... But my breath caught in my throat when I turned and looked next to me, wasn't Officer Vega in the driver's seat. It was him. My heart stopped. My mouth hung open. I wanted to scream, but for whatever reason I couldn't. Oh, Jesus, he's right here, right beside me. Where did he come from? He appeared from thin air. What happened to Officer Vega? What did he do to him? What's he going to do to me? He stared straight ahead, almost hypnotized to the road as it stretched on. I darted my eyes over to the passenger door. It was unlocked. Slowly, just ever so slightly, I moved my hand to grab the handle. I have to jump. It's my only way. Don't do it. His voice was still as mellow and smooth as before. I looked back to him. His focus was still deadlocked on the road. I have to get away, and you'll want to come with me. But what? I asked, still shaking. He didn't reply. He kept racing down the highway at a horrifying speed. I looked again at the door handle before grabbing it and throwing the door open, ready to hurl myself out. Before I could, however, I was grabbed by the back of my shirt and jerked back into the car. This caused the back of my head to smack against the doorframe, knocking me dizzy. He shut the door again before returning his gaze to the road. My vision had exploded into a mess of cloud and fuzz. My head throbbed and I could feel the beginning of a horrible migraine. I heard the door locks click. He'd locked me in now. I couldn't try escaping again. I was trapped. He's trying to get away. Please, he said calmly. Don't panic. I won't hurt you. I barely registered his words. Everything was still fuzzy, both visually and auditorily. I never hurt anyone. You're him, I groaned, aching. You're him, the fallen angel. His eyes were still focused ahead. What do you want with me? He was running from something. He was silent for another moment before replying. I don't want anything from you. I want to help you. What? You won't understand, but I'm here to help you. What are you talking about? How are you helping me? Where are you taking me? He's trying to get away from something. Oh, you don't see them yet, but they see you. They've always seen you. They see everyone. They see the others and take them. I was floored. Who? What? What the fuck are you talking about? The eyes. Please calm down. Just keep looking forward and soon you'll begin to see them too. See what? I exclaimed. No one can see them, but they see us. Them, he said, pointing all around. They see us. They control us, and they take anyone who has the ability to see them, to see the truth. He's afraid of them. He can see them. What do you mean? Who are they? Oh, they're not a who. They're everything and nothing. They are power, and they crave control. They watch us and force us to live by their will, and we can't know because we can't see. The road kept going. I was lost, hilariously lost. None of what I heard made any sort of connection to me. It didn't sound at all logical. It sounded like something a wingnut, tinfoil hat wearing crackpot would say. How long did that road last? Who was watching us? Was he talking about the government or something? Was that who he to get away from? Quiet, empty, endless road. Why couldn't anyone see them? Was it a real road? Was there anything or anybody else? I looked forward. The road stretched on as we continued speeding along. Just keep looking. You'll see it, the truth. Well, I did. At first, I was still confused. What was so important for me to apparently see? The road hadn't changed. I then, however, noticed something about it. Just a subtle thing at first, and I almost missed it. Then, however, I realized that we were passing the Publix again. We never left. What? Did we just drive in a circle? The road doesn't change, just the way we see it. Well, that wasn't all. I could see everything that had been around it again as well. The same road signs, the other markets, even the houses that had been in the area. Everything. Oh, you see it now, don't you? He asked, his voice for the first time sounding actually worried, like he was afraid that I did. I began to wonder why. Why, despite the fact that we should have been miles away by now, were we passing the same places? Why was I locked in the car with this psycho, a known serial killer? More than this, though, why was he so afraid? How does he know any of this? Why does he want me to know? All of this had my head buzzing so badly that I almost didn't see other changes to the environment outside. I first caught it out of the corner of my eye. I noticed that everything began to subtly change colour, by which I mean it began to lose colour. It was a progression, but I soon began to see the grass go from a bright, lush, healthy green to a stark albino white, devoid of any definition or health. The same became true for everything else. It was like someone was slowly trying to erase the world outside, leaving only the blank, featureless outlines of the things that had been there. By this point I was beyond the ability or capacity to ask what the fuck was going on. I could only stare out front through the windshield, horrified. I did manage to choke out one question. Where am I? This, he said, his voice, while still smooth, noticeably becoming deeper, is the world, the real world, you might call it. What? His voice got lower, deeper. Most won't see the world like this. Only those of us who see the truth, those that see them. See who? I cried desperately. I began to feel something warm coming from his direction. It grew hotter and hotter, intensifying, until I looked over to him and, ironically, felt my blood chill. He was now glowing. Around his body was a bright golden aura that glowed brighter and brighter. My eyes went wide seeing this, wider than they'd ever been. What the fuck? What is this? How is he glowing? What the fuck is he? An angel, a guide, a holy light to an unknown path. I didn't voice any of this, and not even because I didn't want to, but rather I just couldn't. Even still, I must have still conveyed my feelings of utter shock, utter terror at what I was seeing. Seeing is believing, and knowledge is frightening. Don't be afraid, he said in a voice that now boomed so much that it shook throughout my body, echoing like the inside of a drum. Your fear will draw them towards us. What are you talking about, goddammit? I was at my wit's end. No, I was beyond my wit's end. I was so far past that if I did wake up from whatever little pipe dream this was, I'd have to be institutionalized on the spot. Look, enough of this cryptic horseshit. Either tell me what's going on, or let me out of here, now. Quiet, he thundered. He now no longer looked the same. He no longer even looked like a person. Now his body was just a golden, glowing outline of a man with long, thin wisps coiling from different areas of his form. This once again made me go speechless. Just relax, please. I know this is hard for you, and that's why I brought you here. You're afraid, I know, but I'm here to save you from that. I don't... Just keep looking and see the truth. What truth? That the world you know was never real. That what you know is only what you've been allowed to see. This, child, is always what the world, the real world, has been. Their blank slate, their sandbox, their playground. For the love of God, who are they? You keep mentioning these things, but what are they? Where are they? Why can't I see them? I couldn't see them because I couldn't see ghosts. I didn't believe in ghosts. Oh no, I heard him murmur, still an impossibly deep, angelic, for the lack of any better word, voice. They've found us. Part 3. Overhead, from the blank, featureless sky above, I watched as a large black crack split across, like the splitting of ice. From this rift, a blinding light bled down as the sky split apart. My heart stopped dead in my chest when I watched a horde of eyeballs that were clustered together to form one giant, writhing, disgusting, and just straight horrifying mass descend. Each and every one of the thing's thousands of irises were different colors, some of which were mixes of colors I didn't even know were possible. Each pupil twitched in every direction simultaneously, apparently searching desperately for something. Not something. Someone. I felt the car pick up speed, and the massive eyes began vibrating at a supersonic level, glowing intensely as it did so. What is that? Them. The ones I've been telling you about. The ones that see everything in your world. What does it want? Control. They seek only control over you and everything it created on this earth. What do you mean, everything it created? I told you before, your world's a sandbox. It, is the one that builds on it. And believe me, they are very much a jealous people when it comes to power, to control. That's why you and the others can't see them, but they can always see you. I looked in front of me again, to the thing. It was now vibrating somehow even more violently and starting to glow an aura of deep, burning crimson. It was angry. What's it doing? I asked, petrified. It's searching. It knows another of its toys is trying to be taken from it, so it's trying to find us. When it does, it'll unmake the both of us, wiping us out, just like they did with the others. Others? What do you mean, who? To this, I heard him sigh. For the first time, he actually sounded mournful, sad even, like he was regretting something, confessing some secret or deed he tried to keep hidden away, buried deep down. I'm not a monster like you think I am. I've seen what you call me, what you see me as, but I'm not a killer. I never hurt anyone, at least not intentionally. I caught my eyebrow. What do you mean? He sighed again. My eyes were open to all of this, to the truth, a long time ago. Because of this, I wanted to spread the truth to others whose eyes haven't been able to see. I wanted others to break free of them and their control. But every time I did, it always saw and always found them and took them, wiping them out. You mean the victims weren't mine? I was stunned again. I couldn't think straight. With the world essentially ending right in front of me at the whim of whatever the hell this abomination was, and now the revelation that this guy, this psychotic freak, wasn't a monster after all, I was almost completely at a loss for words. Finally, I found the will to voice one more question, the only one that mattered to me in that moment. What are we going to do? How do we stop it? Like I said, your fear is attracting them. It's what's keeping your eyes closed, what's keeping you under their influence, their control. You have to stop being afraid. Purge yourself of your fear. How? I asked, not at all understanding how this was even possible. How was I supposed to not be afraid? How, witnessing all of this, these things that were the kind of stuff people only saw either during their worst nightmares or their worst drug trips, was I supposed to stop being afraid? I've never before opened my eyes. What if I can't get rid of it? What would happen to me if it got me? Would I be wiped out too, like the victims? What if it doesn't work? How am I supposed to get rid of fear? My eyes aren't open yet. My spiraling train of thought came to a screeching halt when one of the terrifying entity's gleaming red tendrils shot through the windshield, seizing and tightening around the man's wrist. I could hear a sizzling noise, followed by the smell of sulfur, and the man letting out a sharp cry of pain in a tone that didn't sound entirely human. At least, not just one, almost like multiple people screaming at the same time from the same throat. Well, instincts kicked in, and I reached out to try and pull it off of him, only to immediately retract in pain before I could even touch it, feeling like my hands were on fire. The tendril coiled up across his arm, leading up around his neck. It then began pulling him forward, trying to yank him through the windshield. His seatbelt was the only thing keeping him inside. Eventually I saw the straps being torn at the seams from pressure. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I could do. My eyes. Oh, you have to let go, he bellowed, groaning in pain. The belt straps were only barely holding together now. The tendril was worming itself into his mouth and down his throat. I looked out again at the thing, the monster. Its pulsing eyeball mass glowed brighter and brighter. I could feel the heat searing and unforgiving. I could feel anger from it, raw, unfiltered malice. I could feel its hatred. Brighter and brighter, the gleaming tendril burned, scorching the man until he erupted into flames himself. In seconds, less than seconds, he was engulfed in a burning ball of crimson fire. I'll never forget how his screams sounded as he burned, like 1,000 people were screaming at the same time as they were cooked alive. He strained to scream one last thing to me before he was gone, seared away. Let it all go. I was alone now. I had no weapon, no power, no idea what to do. The thing loomed over the car, sending its sights on me now. This was it. I was done for. I have to open my eyes. I heard the thing bellow in a voice somehow even more impossibly deep than even the man was a minute ago. It was almost equivalent to the sounds of an earthquake rumbling. Perfidi abit sed adhuc timet adhuc tenetur. I closed my eyes, bracing for the end. My eyes! I thought of home, my apartment. I thought of Paul, our date. I thought of the two of us together at the theatres, watching the movie together, laughing, jumping at the thrilling scenes, cutting up. Open my eyes. I thought of the times I'd been scared in the past, like when I was a little girl and was caught in the deep end of a pool or lake. Every time my head would go under, I'd close my eyes, afraid of what I'd see if I opened them, imagining some vicious beast ready to tear me apart. Or I'd see nothing at all ever again. Open them. I remembered how when I did open them again, I'd always see the sunlight, and I'd be okay. Now, open them now. I'd managed to struggle my way to the surface. I'd made it out, where I'd see my dad there, telling me that everything was okay, that he had me now, that I was safe. Open my fucking eyes. I felt something inside me shifting, a sense of determination, a dormant instinct, defiance. Yes, I wanted to survive, I wanted to be free, to live, but more than this, I wanted to beat this fucking thing right here, right now. I opened my eyes again. The entity still towered above the car, vibrating, glowing, pulsing. I felt my own body begin to feel warm. Quickly I began to feel hotter and hotter. It wasn't painful, though. It was invigorating. I was doing it. I was letting go. I wasn't afraid of it or whatever it could do to me. The entity's mass began frantically pulsing again, its bright red aura returning with more vengeance than before. I knew it was getting desperate. And it knew. Vilicum rupiet, the thing roared. I could see its eyes, each and every one of them. Now it was afraid. Staring dead at it, I felt triumph wash over me, and I said, in a voice that echoed like how the man's voice did, Now I see you. I see you, and you have no power over me. To this, the thing roared in anger as its aura glowed brighter and hotter with rage. Ego dissolvamte, lashed another of its tendrils towards me. I ducked and threw myself into the driver's seat. Assuming control, I threw it into drive and slammed my foot on the accelerator. We locked gaze one last time. Burn in hell. In an instant, the car collided head-on with the entity and everything went blank. Everything was a blank space of white, completely empty. I couldn't see anything, feel anything. Am I dead? Slowly, gradually, I began to see shapes and colors take form. These soon began to take on a familiar appearance. It was the parking lot again, just like it was before I'd left. Everything was normal again. And yet at the same time, it wasn't. The colors, the sounds, the people, they were there, sure, but something was different now. I don't really know how to best describe it. Maybe like I was looking at the world through a camera filter. Like I wasn't seeing the world anymore, or not with my own eyes. My eyes are open. I can finally see the real world. Officer Wade came rushing out with the Publix. "You all right, ma'am?" I just looked at him. He looked different now too. Everyone looked different. They all looked like grey cutouts. What the hell is this? Why does everyone look so different now? Why do they look like this? Their eyes are still closed, but mine have been opened. "Ma'am," I snapped back to Officer Wade's voice. "Are you okay?" I cleared my throat. "Yeah," I replied half-heartedly. My mind was both blank and cluttered at the same time, distant and yet there. On Earth, yet galaxies away at the same time, you know. "Yeah, I'm fine." I then remembered Officer Vega. "What happened? Where's Officer Vega?" He looked confused. "Officer Vega?" he asked, cocking his eyebrows. "Who's that?" "Your partner, the one who was supposed to escort me home." He just stared back at me, bewildered, not having a clue as to who the hell I was talking about. "Oh, ma'am, I'm afraid you must be mistaken. I don't know any Officer Vega. My partner's Officer Greer here." He then pointed over to the entrance to a man I didn't at all recognize. He was shorter, more muscular looking, with a military-styled buzz cut. I was confused. What the hell happened to Officer? And then it hit me. It was just like he said earlier. They must have taken him, unmade him, just like they did with... "Where is he?" I blurted. "Who?" "The man that attacked me, the fallen angel killer." Once again, he looked utterly dumbfounded. "Well, someone attacked you, Mom?" he asked. My blood went cold. Not from fear, but rather from sheer realization. The kind of feeling you get when you reveal some great and horrible truth. Everything was back to normal, and yet nothing was the same. He explained to me that they got a call about a possible shoplifter, and they just happened to see me out in the parking lot looking winded. I barely listened to him when he explained this. I know what really happened, but he doesn't, and neither does anyone else. They never will. Their eyes aren't open. They can't see them, but I can. I've tried searching for the man, the murders, any headlines of the search for him, but it's no use. Neither he nor any of his victims can be found anywhere anymore. They can't be found because they no longer exist. Unmade. To the best, as I understand it, these events happened only a couple of days ago. Since then, I've seen the world this way. Normal, yet different. I feel different too. I feel faster, more perceptive than normal. I've found that I can move faster than normal perception, causing me to be able to travel from one spot to another quicker than other people can pick up on. Just like him. I think I understand it clearer now. I conquered my fear, breaking their control over me, and now I've become elevated. I'm not just human anymore. I'm more than that now. I'm free. My eyes are open. And despite this, I can see them now too. Oh, they're everywhere, pulling the strings of everyone around me. No one else can see this, but I can. I know they're after me, which is why I have to end this now. I'm going to leave you with this. These things that act beyond our bounds, beyond the veil, as you say it, they're everywhere. And they only want one thing: control. I fear being known, though, being seen. And they can be seen. All you have to do is open your eyes.
So another fantastic story there from Corpse Child. Please do go check out his paperback, available on Amazon. Well worth the read. Now, as you can probably hear from my voice, I am far from getting better. Sadly, this is almost certainly COVID, and it is bad this time as it ever was. Really, really kept me in bed, and it's not been any fun at all. But another weekend to rest and try and recuperate, so hoping for the best. Thank you for all your kind words over the last couple of weeks. It meant a lot. Thank you very much, everyone, wishing me a healthy recovery, speedy recovery. Not there yet, but doing my best. Well, my dear friends, like I said, gonna try and recover over the weekend, but I'll be back again as soon as I possibly can with something new. Till then, my dear friends, very, very sweet dreams, and bye-bye.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this story today. Really means a lot to me and to the author of the story, of course. Well, if you want to know more about me, I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can download my music on SoundCloud. I've got a Patreon if you feel like. Throw me $1 or $2. Very much appreciated. And of course, on Reddit, I have a place where you can leave stories if you want me to read one that you've written. Well, hoping to see you all again very soon. Till then, sweet dreams. Bye-bye.